success?
I mean, I guess you just kind of got to go with the flow. I mean, since the beginning of the year, we've all known that we've had pretty much 3 different quarterbacks that could all end up in the game at some point. So, I mean, it's just who's ever preparing and who's ever getting that start that weekend. And the rest of the guys in the skill positions and the O-line just kind of going with the flow and working with whoever's in there.
You're working on your third quarter. Well, heck, I guess now you're working on your 5th quarterback, counting all 3 that have played this year. What was your kind of assessment of the way Phaeton played the other day? I mean, how did you feel like he went about his business?
I thought that he went about his business really well for the situation that he was in, and I felt like that some of the skilled guys, including myself, could have made it a little bit easier for him. But for the most part, I feel like Phaeton got in there and he did a really good job.
You talk about that. I mean, so I guess you guys had the jugs machine in the indoor during the day. Were you on there anymore this week than usual?
Yeah.
Was you at midday today?
Yeah.
Who else was over there with you? Is that kind of typical for go in there and get some work on there?
I mean, a lot of the receivers and I mean, just throughout the day, those things are in there all day. So if anybody wants to go in there and get any work, you can kind of just go in there at your own discretion and go. But me personally, I've been in there a lot more the past couple of days than I have been.
What are your emotions after those couple of plays last week? I mean, I'm sure you knew that was coming at some point. I mean, how do you kind of bounce back from that?
I mean, it's definitely it was definitely plays that I've seen myself. I have made before. I feel like I've made even tougher plays than the ones that I didn't make on Saturday. But I mean, in this game, you can't dwell on the past. I mean, it's a tough game we play, and you have to come in week after week, and whether you do good or bad, you can't remember the things you did last week. You can't dwell on them because you have another game coming up the next week, So whether you have good players or bad players, you really can't focus on them. You have to be ready for the next week and prepare yourself accordingly.
Is that something you're able to do in game, like after the first one happened, were you able to kind of block it out and move on to the second one and do that without that being in your mind?
Oh yeah, I mean, you can't dwell on anything. I mean, once something's happened, there's nothing you can do about it to turn it around. But if you harp on it and dwell on it, it can affect you in the future. So it's just something you have to have a short memory in this game, and that's pretty much in any sports game that you play.